Okay, great. So we are ready to start the recording. And welcome to the ZEST book study webinar number 5. We've gone through quite a few exercises already, but if you haven't read a book, that's okay. That's why we're recording all of the webinars, and they can be found on my website, lindababulik.com. Go under programs. At the very bottom, it says Zest Your Life Book Study, and click on that. And at the bottom of the page, you'll find all the recordings right there. So you can catch up or replay, and you'll be able to go through the exercises. There we go. So we have done exercises up to number 11. So tonight we start with the heavy lifting of limiting fears, which is on page 22 if you have your exercise workbook printed, and it is on page 101 in the book itself. Now, just to want to recap that we ended last week with this affirmation: my personal effort makes my world a better place. And to remind you that the affirmations are all available through the book bonuses on that particular URL. And you can print them off as mailing labels and use them that way, just as that reminder. And here we are, exercise number 12, limiting fears. So this is to take a look at and think about these questions, to write down the answers. What we're looking for, I think of this book as a coaching exercise, because we know that the effectiveness of coaching happens when we have 3 elements. When we have commitment, which you have because you're here, when we have accountability, and my phone number is all over my website and my email, and I'm easy to find. There's a contact form on there, so that could give you accountability, and writing. So it's often important if we do that physical connection of writing down the answers. So consider how these are barriers that are preventing you from being the powerful woman and from being as vibrant or happy or successful as you want to be. The first question is, what situation pulls you off balance? So what situation comes to mind first? What is it that gets you that butterfly feeling in your stomach, and it's that bit of a panic in your heart?
I think when I'm not prepared.
Yeah, I think that does it. There's no such thing as winging it, is there?
Nope.
No. And that would be obvious if I showed up on these webinars and I wasn't prepared, if I didn't have my notes, my iPad, my book, and my glasses and everything all around me that you can't see. Yeah, being not prepared is really important. Now, if we go back, and you know I'm very fond of going back to see when was a time where you were unprepared and suffered that consequences of that, maybe as a child.
Interesting. I really cannot recall, but I just have this constant fear of not being prepared. Even in nowadays, like really recent nowadays, most of the dreams I have is like I have a final exam coming up, and oh my gosh, I didn't prepare for it, and I was freaking out in my dream. And then I wake up, and then I dream about this often, actually. And I wake up, and it will have to take me a second to realize that, oh, I'm not in college anymore. It's just a dream. So I don't know what has prompted me to have this fear. But even now, like either I always dream about something like that, just different scenarios, college, high school, final exam, or homework didn't prepare for. Yeah.
So, did you have that when you were working in your career?
Nope. I only dream about school time.
Isn't that interesting?
Yep.
So without knowing it, it must have been very stressful, even though you were always prepared. There's some residual fear in there, isn't there?
Oh, definitely. And
So when we look back at not being prepared, what's the fear under that?
if you're not prepared, in Asia, back in the days in Taiwan, you get punished physically, like they spank you publicly. So there's the physical pain and the public humiliation, and also the way we sit in the class is based on your ranking in the class. So people can come into your class, know immediately based on where you sit in your classroom what what's your how what's your rank from 1 to say 30.
Mm.
Oh, maybe that's kind of prompt fears.
Now that could be. That
Yeah.
could be. It's amazing. The more I talk to people, the more clients I work with, the more I see that so many of our fears are anchored in our childhood. Now, I just had that revelation a month and a half ago, I guess 2 months ago now, almost 2 months ago, when I had a guest speaker come to the ZEST Wisdom Circle. And I said, oh, I have this great revelation. And she goes, yeah, sort of good, because she's psychic medium. And she said, yeah, sort of good, but you have it totally backwards. I went, what? She said, yeah, think about it. This comes from your childhood. And then I had to go all the way back. I was talking about freedom, one of my favorite subjects. And I realized that my fear of losing my freedom is based in the fact that when my mother passed, when I was only 17, and I had my 13-year-old sister and my 8-year-old brother, and my father wasn't coping, that I lost my freedom. Or I perceived that I lost my freedom. She said, yeah, that's what it goes back to. Dismantle that, and then you'll be ready to roll.
Wow.
And often it's our perception.
Yep.
Like, did I really lose my freedom? Or did I just perceive that I lost my freedom?
Mm-hmm.
So I still did whatever I wanted. I was still working.
Yep.
It comes back to us until
Yes.
we solve it.
Yep. And
Is there a particular person that pulls you off your center? Or
I was going to say, it ties very well with that whole discussion, going back to the childhood. It's my mother. Like, she was with us for 3 weeks, and it was exhausting. It was painful. It was whatever. However you can describe it. Yeah, because that totally triggered that fear of not being prepared, not being good enough. Oh, actually, I think it goes back to, you're right. Like, it's like, no matter how much prepared I am, it's never enough. It's never good enough, because my mother will always, like, I will come home being second in the class. My mom would say, how come you're not the first? I'm like, okay, I'll try harder to be the first. Yeah, and I think in a lot of way, I'm still trying to meet that expectation, or now the expectation, it's in my head. I internalize it so much, and it kind of manifests itself in everything I do in life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's time to change that pattern, eh?
Yes, I did, burn the sky lantern.
That was great.
Yep, it was liberating, but I don't think it's as easy as that. It's just a very deep-rooted issue. I
And
have to constantly work on it.
yeah, and once you identify what it is, though, that's the thing. Once you see it, once I saw it and I could name it and go, oh, I think of it as losing my freedom. And about my life not, at that time, I had hopes and aspirations that I was going to have a career and do things, but I had these kids, and I had this, then life just tumbled from bad to worse. And that's when I lost my freedom. And once I identified it, though, just by naming it, it started to dissipate it. So I wonder if playing, because I know our mind, we can tell our brain anything. Our mind believes whatever we tell it. I wonder if you did a meditation and you're sitting in that front seat, that coveted seat, and you are number one in the class. But I saw you at the front of the class. I saw you teaching. So you were in the prime position, right at the front.
Yep. Yes. Yeah, it's really hard. It's no, I should not keep saying that. It's something that even that I recognize it now, I will have to be very consciously I have to be very conscious to work on that. Like even the fact that we're just talking about it, being at this new studio, this woman, authoritative woman, that it's like, oh, you need to build your class. And it kind of just triggered that fear, like, okay, I'm not good enough. And I started to lose my voice. I was just talking to another senior teacher. I say, I need to have a chat with you because I feel like I'm losing who I am as a teacher. So anyhow, but that's a very identified, okay, I think it's kind of coming together.
And I can certainly see that in a lot of yoga teachers and a lot of yoga studios. They're not taught how to run their yoga practice as a business. They learn all the moves and everything, but most of our businesses now, let's face it, you used to be, the best example I have is, it used to be the roofer would come to your house and give you an estimate on the roof. He would look, he'd measure, do everything with the measuring tape, and then he'd say, I'll get back to you with an estimate. And then in the old days, he faxed it to you, or he phoned you and said, this is how much it's going to cost for your new roof. My last new roof that I put on the old house 5 years ago, he measured it all with beams, like not a measuring tape, with beams, bam, bam, all over all these light beams going. He got into his truck. 10 minutes later, he rang the doorbell and he said, here's your estimate. It was all printed up. He had his laptop, he had his printer, he put all his numbers in, and out came my estimate. Well, it's not good enough now just to have a ladder and a pile of shingles and a bunch of nails and do a roof. You have to be able to give right away. That was a big marketing piece. And here's our brochure, and here's the shingles, and here's your choice of what kind of shingles you want. It was like, whoa. And I think that's lacking in a lot of businesses, that we haven't transferred, that so much of our business now is marketing and getting the clients.
Yep.
And we're on our own, because word of mouth, people don't know how to spread the word of mouth, because they may go to yoga classes in 3 different places.
True.
So it's a matter of knowing the clientele. How do you promote yoga? How do you get them to come to your class? What differentiates with you? I'm working with one of my clients that's my yoga teacher, and that's a big challenge.
Yeah.
So is it a fear of failure that holds us back, do you think?
The fear of failure. No, not necessarily.
Oops.
I think
so either.
It's the fear of losing face. Like the public humiliation element. Yep.
It's that embarrassment. And what about the success? Is there a fear of success?
Hmm. I don't think so. Not that I'm aware of.
So what if they called you and asked you to do an appearance on the television to talk about yoga?
I will be very prepare and over prepare, and then I will have to lose 10 pounds, and then I will go on the TV.
Hi, Jacqueline.
I totally get that. I totally get that.
Yeah. So you yoga teachers, you have so much in common. And it's funny because I think for about a year, I have an app on my iPad, and every night I would pull a card up and yoga kept coming up. And I'm going, oh, yeah, got to do yoga, yada, yada. And then I started doing yoga. And now the more I do yoga, the more yoga teachers come into my life.
Yeah. Yes.
Now, Jacqueline, have you met Shinley before?
Yep.
Only
Okay.
on the last session. Yeah.
Okay, great. So we're on exercise 12, talking about what pulls us off our center and the fears that we have and where they're based from. You know, that fear of not being prepared, of being embarrassed, of what is called losing face, which I think is a really good expression that's not used so much here.
Oh, it's in the Chinese culture everywhere. It's all about saving face or losing face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know, growing up, I got, don't embarrass us. Don't embarrass us. I'm like, wow, okay. Let's not do something interesting because I might embarrass them.
Yeah. And that really keeps us controlled. I was just having that conversation tonight at dinner. I said, I wish I could just like let loose and just do a big event. And sometimes I think, you know, it's just that. I'm not even sure if it's confidence or if it's just cockiness that some people can just go ahead and jump right in with both feet.
Yeah.
So I was really glad that this was the topic tonight because I want to really explore what the heck is that fear that stops us from doing something crazy. We shouldn't be stopped anymore. Except we're holding ourselves back.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any particular people or a person that pulls you off your center, Jacqueline?
Aside from me? Pulls off my center. I would say probably family members that are close to me can pull me off my center. As much as they think they're helping me out, it doesn't feel like they are. It really doesn't. And I can't say that to them because I'm just being so uppity or I'm being silly. Why would I think that? And I can't say because I heard you express that.
Mm-hmm. It's often challenging to have those open discussions. That's what I really love about my relationship with Christy, my daughter, because she does not hesitate to look me square in the face and say, you're really not being helpful, Mom. Like, oh, okay, I am back off. I'm good. I'll just sit here and drink my wine. I'm fine.
Okay, yeah.
Because I want to help so much that often, you know, when you're a do-gooder, you try to help so much and you're not helpful. You need to sort of figure it out that they've got it and you step back and then you wait for them to ask for help if they ever want to. And sometimes they do.
Yeah.
Is there anybody left in your past that you're still afraid of? That if you saw them walking down the street, you'd be...
Afraid of. Wow. Well, Linda, that's a good question. I never would have thought I would be fearful of anyone. Are you asking fear of having a conversation? Or
You're running into that person that took you off your center, that shakes you up. That it's fine. You know, we can all be brave when we don't see the people around us, when they're way on the other side of the world, we're all brave. But then when they're right there in our space, then all the fears come up.
yeah. You know what? Yes. As we continue, yes, there is someone I'd rather not run into.
Yeah. And so wouldn't it be nice if we could get our strength up and whatever it is that we need so that we could let go of that fear? And maybe that's when we'll know that we have that courage and we've let those fears go, will be when we can picture that person right in front of us and it's like, you don't have a hold on me anymore.
Yeah.
That'll be a nice day. And if we could find what's the cause of that fear? Was it something that they did to us? Was it them indeed that hurt us? And, you know, sometimes we blame the wrong person. We see that man in the black hat and we remember a man in a black hat, but it's the wrong guy. So it's good in this exercise to discover situation and characteristics in people that present the barriers and that stop you from being your authentic self. Because if you can find the root cause to those fears, then you can clear them away. You can clear away those barriers that are holding us back. Just like I found out I had that perceived fear of losing my freedom. It was caused by my mother's death. Just for years, I thought she abandoned me when she died. It took me a while to figure that one out, only about 30 years, but I did. But it was my friend's death that caused it. When my girlfriend committed suicide and somebody said she abandoned us. And I just went, no, she didn't. It's not like when she did that, she was thinking about us because she wanted to abandon us. Yeah. And then it just came right down on me that my mother didn't abandon me 30 years earlier either. It's interesting how our brain, when we're young and we're in shock or we're under a lot of stress, that we jumble things up. The wires get mixed up. The stories get like much music, you know, the videos get all jammed up together. And then at this point, we're astute enough that we can actually redissect it and go, oh, that piece doesn't even belong to that guy. Hey, any final comments on this one?
No. Good questions, though.
Uh-huh. I shed a few tears when I wrote this piece of the book.
Oh.
You know, it's cathartic when you write your book.
True.
So exercise 13 is about feeling and behaving like a victim. Because when you go back to your chart that we filled out, remember this last week we talked about the circle of concern and the circle of influence.
Oh, okay.
So what we want to look at is that, go back there, so that you, in this chart, and I think it was challenging to explain this in the book and not surprising if not everybody got it. But what I wanted you to do is make a list of everything that you fear and put it under concern. So in that column of concerns, those are things that you fear because they're in your circle of concern. If they're not in your circle of concern, then you're not concerned about it. So that's the place where you put all your fears. And then under the influence column, you can even just put arrows. You put in the fears that are within your power to control, to change, or to manage.
For example?
A fear of public speaking is one. So fear of not being prepared and being humiliated when I get on stage. But I have, that could be in my circle of influence, but it's also in my circle of concern as a fear, but it can also be in my circle of influence, because in that circle of influence, I can do something about that. I can prepare. I can practice. I can get a speaking coach. I can choose friendly audiences to start with. And I can choose where and how I manage that fear. Another way to do that is to make sure I eat before I speak, so that if I get onto any emotional subjects, that it's not going to affect me, because my blood sugar could be off balance. And I find that that causes me to get emotional.
Okay. Thank you.
So the circle of concern is all your fears. Circle of influence are, what are the fears you could do something about? And now the trickiest one is if the fear lies in your circle of concern and not in your circle of influence, then you have no control over it. But it may still be controlling you. So you have someone in your circle of concern, a fear, that you're going to see them. But you have no influence on whether or not that person will be there.
Right.
So you sign up. Like, I went away for a women's weekend. So you sign up for a women's weekend. There's going to be 80 women there. And as I'm driving there, I'm thinking, oh my God, what if she's there? And that's going to ruin my weekend. And what am I going to say? And what am I going to do? Do I have to fake I like her when I don't? It's like, what's going to happen? And then sure enough, I mean, I walk in and I see the back of somebody's head. Who do you think it is? Not her. But the back of her head, it just reminded me, I thought, it is her. I was right. That was a premonition. So grateful it wasn't. But it's those kinds of things. And even if it was somebody there, you have no influence over that. It's not like I can say, okay, leave, you're bugging me. So those are those fears that we have. Often they're associated with our family. So we are concerned and we're afraid for our family members. And it's none of our business. There's nothing we can do. And we see them taking the wrong road or doing something that maybe they could have used a little bit of advice on and done it better. But we're concerned and we're worrying and we're putting in a lot of energy where we have absolutely no influence. So that's the trickiest one, because it's still, like our friend that just died a couple of weeks ago, who died of cancer. And we have another friend that's going through the treatments now. That's in our circle of concern. And I worry for them and I worry for the family because they're lovely people, but I have no influence I can do over that. I mean, I send them prayers, but I'm not too sure that that's not going to cure them. It makes me feel better, but may not make them feel better. So we need to really look at, what fears are causing you concerns about a situation that you cannot influence. And going through divorce or illness, that's a really good example. And you're worried about them. You have the awareness that you're concerned, but you can't influence the situation. But once you realize that, you can change the worry, the sort of the look and feel of the worry, so that it's not taking so much energy. So to conclude this exercise, you want to look at everything on your list in the chart and decide if they belong in your circle of concern or your circle of influence. So we had looked at, what are your strongest attachments? What are things in your life that don't give you energy? Those dishes you inherited, that house full of stuff that you really didn't need any more of, those dishes from the Depression that can't even go in the dishwasher because they have that little gold stuff on it.
I have a set of those.
I gave a whole stack away. Gave my ex-daughter-in-law the whole thing. She said, oh, my grandmother had those too, and I inherited hers. And I said, here you go. And she burst into tears. She was so touched and so pleased. And I was so glad to be rid of those dishes because it was taking energy. No, it wasn't putting energy. I've probably got a few crochet doilies I could pull out of my linen closet too. Not adding much. I did the best I could with those. So it's those things. And then if you can give them away, just keep what adds energy into your life. And we can't do that with people, but we can certainly do it with a great number of things that we have. And when you give it away from your heart, and that's the way I gave away those dishes, she was so thrilled. And you're not sacrificing yourself negatively or volunteering to, if you could help others by doing it, that could add to others too. Yeah. So that's why we're trying to really parse it out to keep things in our life that builds us up and makes us feel great and adds to our life and adds to our values. So that's the purpose of these heart-wrenching exercises of looking at our fears, if we're feeling or behaving like a victim. It comes back to us again and again, and then we can take a good look at it and hopefully get to a point where it's not having that same amount of influence on us. So hopefully when you have company again, Shilin, you'll have, it won't have the same effect on you. You won't be exhausted for as long. Our recovery period gets faster.
Yes.
Because a 3-week visit is taking a 6-week cure. So hopefully, you pare it down a little bit. And that's part of the emotional maturity that I talk about in the book too. Okay. So the affirmation for this is, I release my fears. I am safe and in control of my life. They're like two totally separate thoughts. But if we're safe and in control if I'm safe and in control of my life, then I can release the fears. It's almost like I need to do this affirmation backwards. Say, I'm safe and in control of my life. I don't need the fears. I can move on from that. Are we complete with this section?
That's true.
Any comments?
So I just want to make sure I understand. So this exercise we were just going through, and it is trying to address the fear and also trying to address feeling and behaving like a victim.
Mm-hmm.
And then to try to do the opposite of feeling and behaving like a victim is that we understand that circle of influence versus the circle of concern, and let go of what we have those concerns that we have no influence of, and then maybe focus on the things that we have influence. Is that
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's like focusing on how can you fill your yoga class,
Mm-hmm.
rather than, well, this isn't happening or that's not happening. How can I do it? What networking groups can I go to? How can I pass the marketing materials around at church?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because the fears often take up so much of our energy, so much of our time, and I mean, we all know that. We've let go a ton of fears already. It just seems that there's always room for more fears, and we fill it up.
It's true.
So, because Jacqueline, before you jump in, I was talking about, I just started to teach at a new studio, and I'm new there, so the people, they're just like 4 or 5 people have been like coming to my classes, but the owner of the studio is totally different than the one I worked before. This one is all about numbers, it's all about business. She really wants me to grow my classes, and then gave me those little free passes to hang out with people, which is like, I haven't really, I have not done anything like that. And the way I have been growing my classes is like, I go and teach my class and be myself. People just keep coming. And then I guess I'm just trying to figure out why people are not coming. And then she also had a lot of kind of criteria in place to manage the performance per se. So I started to talk about my fear about, now I started to stress out about teaching a class because I don't know what class, who am I? I feel like I'm losing my voice as a teacher. Yeah, that's what we were talking about. That's why Linda tied it back to, what I can do to influence, and within that big fear circle of concerns, circle of fears. Yep.
And you can certainly influence that because you can take those cards, and there must be businesses all around there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're so charming to meet. You're disarming. You walk in, you say hello, and you say, hi, I'm a yoga teacher. I'm new at this studio. Did you know we have classes at this time? And I'm teaching at that time. I'd love to see you there. How many free passes can I give you?
Yes.
People love free. Or would you like to give it, like, say it's an insurance company, or maybe it's a spa. You could say, would you like to give this as a gift to one of your clients?
Yes, it's just not something I've ever done in the past. So I need to. Yes, I will tomorrow.
Just map it out. Where are the places that you could affect? And then you can come back to the owner of the spa and say, look, this is what I did. This, and make sure you initial the cards.
Yes.
So that he knows that the cards came through you.
Yeah.
I went to these 5 businesses and they're very interested and they want more information or whatever you can provide them with.
Yep.
We can do this.
Well, yes.
We've got until April, so we've got about 5 weeks.
5 weeks.
Pack that class in so that they're all packed in when I come and visit you.
Oh, okay. Oh.
So I'll help you with the marketing ideas.
Yeah.
Jacqueline, are you ever responsible for filling your room yourself?
At the Y, they would like to have more people. I'm not responsible for it, but I feel like I should be responsible for it. It is a class that they've never had before, and so as long as I can get it filled, they'll continue to have the class and probably extend it out to the other YMCAs. So yeah, I will say I am responsible for filling those classes. It's a specialty class.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can't just, and your target market's not on Facebook either.
No. Unless, I'd like to think they surprise me. I've got one participant that is on Facebook.
Yeah.
That's it.
So it would be a matter of them spreading word of mouth if they know other people that would need that specialty class.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Getting there though.
Yeah. It takes a little while. The sales cycle is not a fast cycle. None of us buy things, impulse and quick. We take a while to make our decisions.
Sometimes too long. Yeah.
Are we complete with this section?
Yes.
Jacqueline, did you want to add something?
No, I'm just reading the affirmation again. I release my fears. I do appreciate the I am safe and in control of my life. That is the affirmation that I'm appreciating right now.
The one that I do every morning with my meditation is I am in control of my days, my life, and my legacy. And that helps me a lot to start the day like that, to know it's not going to go off the railing, that I'm in control of it.
Yeah.
And then to keep it in control if somebody else wants to put their influence in my circle of influence. It's like, no. Not my circle.
Step back.
Yeah. And exercise 14 is found on page 107 in the book.
Okay.
And this is the piece from Pastor Joel Osteen.
Oh, he's
Do you want to go to his church when you come to Texas?
That would be a total blast. Yeah, I'd love to.
His church used to be a basketball stadium. That's telling you how big it is.
Yeah,
I watched him on TV in that stadium.
What
It's
did you say?
huge. I watched him on TV in that stadium. It's huge.
Yeah,
He's awesome.
I'd love to go just for the experience.
Okay, are you going to be here during one Sundays? I think so.
I am, because that's the 8th of April is a Sunday. Because if I'm doing Nats on the 7th.
Okay, on the 8th. Okay, let's do that because last time my friend, she's from out of town. But she comes to Houston for work. So she brought her parents here, and her parents were like, we want to go to Joel Osteen's church. And then I'm like, really? Yeah, so they all went to the church. They say it was awesome. I'm like, oh, okay. So maybe I'm going to look into that. I'm writing it down. And we're going to Joel Osteen's church.
Do I get a seat in the front pew because I quoted him in my book?
I'm going to send, or you can send him an email. But my friend told me that they always give the front seats to the visitors.
Good.
Yes.
See, now I'm going to have to come.
Yeah.
Do you like him too?
I do. His wife is lovely too. Yeah. I think he's great.
Okay, I wrote it down. We are going
Yetta and Virginia are going to be so envious.
Yes, they are.
Well, I love what he says. He says, whatever follows I am is going to come looking for you. And consider that the next time that you say, I'm tired, I'm mad, I'm fed up, I'm excited, convert it into I'm excited, I'm happy, not I'm fearful, because we don't want the I am to come looking for us. I'm doing great things. You can see how quickly the I am can turn around when you do it in the positive side. So when you're saying, I am tired, you keep saying it, you're going to be more tired. Jacqueline, I don't know how you made it with so little sleep over the weekend. And you look great.
I am enthused about the events I had been at. So, yeah.
And it's interesting that we do that. We say, oh, I'm tired. And often it's because we don't have enough going on in our life. That, or we have lots of going on in our life, but it doesn't excite us. Yeah. It's not warming our juices. It's not zesty enough.
Yeah.
But when you have enough zest in your life, then you can say, I am zesty, and everything that you do then gets that feeling about it.
Yeah. Hello, Kitty.
She just came into the office, joined the party. Now she's walking away. Yep.
Is that Ray?
Yes.
Hi, Ray.
Yes, she took the cat with him.
Okay.
I'm closing the door.
So we really want to watch our I am statements. And the other one that I threw in here that isn't Joel's, but Pastor Joel's, but I'll let him borrow it from you. It's the I shoulds. I hear that so many times.
Yeah.
I'm so tired and I should do this and I should do that. It's the old I shoulda, coulda, woulda, and dinna. So it's important because the I should can carry the feelings of fear and guilt and obligation. And it's like, oh, I should, but really, does it matter if I don't fold the laundry? So when I try to avoid the I shoulds and make sure that the I ams are getting me to that emotion or that feeling that comes to mind first. And I find this is one of the pieces I have to really do a lot of work with my clients. And that's the purpose of this exercise. That's the clean up the language and the expressions that create positive energy. And they remove, that's one more barrier that gets removed from emotional zest, is when you can complete that and say, I am. And that's why I wanted to get this far tonight in the webinar, because I didn't want to leave you in the fear stuck victim mode. But now you know I am courageous. I am courageous to face my fears. I am courageous to be able to discern between what I have influence on, and I am courageous to be able to let go what I cannot control. And not only that, I have no desire to control it.
Peachy.
Love it. Awesome. I'm just making notes.
That's okay. We've got lots of time.
Yeah.
What am I doing? Yep. We started a few minutes late, so.
Yeah.
And those are not, you know, what I love is a lot of the things that I work with is they're simple steps. They're not particularly easy to reprogram your beliefs, but they work. And to just catch yourself, you know, and then you'll catch, first you're always better at catching everybody else.
Yeah.
And, you know, going, oh, you just said you're tired and you can't be, you just got out of bed at 6 o'clock in the morning. The old, I just woke up and I'm not even dressed. So it's good to be able to say what I am.
Yeah.
And it's often a challenge. And we saw that at the very beginning of the book. And the exercises to say, I am a powerful woman. I am a powerful, zesty woman.
Yeah.
And it's also very powerful to say, and I'm not always zesty. And that's okay. Perfectly okay. So the affirmation that goes with this is that place of courage that I talked about. Because courage and fear can't live in your heart at the same time. My courageous heart. Jacqueline, do you want to read this one out?
Sure. My courageous heart speaks from a place of love, compassion, and understanding.
Oh, that's very beautiful.
I was going to say, you want to say it too.
Yes, go ahead.
Oh. No, I was just like, okay, I had my inner fear come in like, oh, you must be an awesome yoga teacher because you have such an amazing voice. And I was like, oh, I need to be more like her. See, just like all this sentence, I'm like judging myself.
We all need to be more like Jacqueline. We all need to be more like Shinlei, because Jacqueline's thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm thinking the same thing. And that's why we're here together, because we all want to share more of each other.
And that's courageous.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay, so my courageous heart speaks from the place of love, compassion, and understanding.
So when you're promoting your yoga, when you're getting word of mouth or testimonials from people, and that's another way to do it, is to ask people, what did you get out of this class? You know, and I can write you a testimonial, and then you can say, here's what someone who took my class said about it. Because they want to have that social proof of what are the benefits that those people are gaining from it. So you could say, oh, this person, you know, took my class and thinks such and such. Maybe one of your clients would be interested. So it's an easy way to do that. And whatever you say, you know, when you take your courageous heart and you knock on those doors, when you come from that place of love, compassion, and understanding, it all flows. You can't go wrong. And if somebody slams the door in your face, you say, that's fine. You know, because I know that I'm coming from a place of love, compassion, and understanding, and I send more of that to you too. Now we're not going to do this one because we're out of time. There. Because that's talking about our mask. I just don't want to let you go on on one of the heavy lifting ones. That's my new expression, the heavy lifting ones. So I want to leave you with your heart full, speaking from a place of love, compassion, and understanding. And know that you can print off the affirmations on mailing labels, standard mailing labels. So they're just a nice size to put on your wallet or to put on gifts. I know people that have put them on gifts.
That's such a good idea.
Yeah, they print them off, they put them on, carry them around on their phones. I had someone that she kept changing it on the fridge. She felt her family needed to see them.
Yeah.
Just a really nice, it reminds me of your cupboards. What did you ever do with those cupboards that had us all autograph your kitchen cupboard?
Oh, I love those. I took photos of them.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And because I couldn't, so Shaylee, what I had done was I wanted to know what words people lived by. And so I gave them a marker to write on my kitchen cupboards. Of course, first thought is, I would never write on kitchen cupboards. I wouldn't write on my furniture. You know what? I'm asking you to write on mine. And I had most beautiful sayings and that people live their lives through. And I loved doing it. I'm not sure I'll do it again, but I've got pictures of it.
And did you sell the house with the writing all over the cupboards?
I had to take the writing off, which is why I had to take the photos.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It was washable markers.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. Anyway, it was really quite something to walk into the kitchen with all these white cupboards and all of these signatures and people saying, yeah, that's me. I'm just going to add another little piece.
Exactly.
It was great fun. Yeah. So thank you so much, ladies. This has been a really good session. I must admit, I did have a little fear in my heart because when I walk people through fear, often we can get mired in it. And it takes courage to walk through it together. So we did a really good job linking arms and walking through and finding our courageous hearts. So for that, namaste.
Namaste.
Find the button to, okay, there we go.